All right, so I'm a big Robert Duvall fan, and you must have been like, were you blown away when he was cast as you in this movie? Because they made a movie about this, and we'll kind of get into that side of it. But I'm curious as to, was this story building, and as the thing kind of built, was there people already coming on board saying we need to make a movie about this right away? Or was it sort of after the process, after it all had ended and Terry had passed, or was it kind of being put together while you guys were doing it?
There was nothing that during the actual run, although that movie idea came up very quickly after the run. Mm-hmm. It was to become HBO's first feature movie that they made, and Robert Cooper was the producer, and again, this is shortly after the run. They hire the Kastner family to write the story. And I go over to Mrs. Castor's house, who's passed away. And I remember the first time I went there, she had this big tray of alcohol. And she said, "Can I make you drink?" And I said, "I don't have to drink to tell Terry's story."
Right.
So I went there probably 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
And told my story as I knew it. And then we skip ahead maybe 8 months. And when the movie's going to go into production, and I know nothing about the movie.
Sure.
All I know is Eric Fryer has been cast as to play Terry, and I'm called down to the office, and I've also been told that there is a name been cast to be in the movie. No idea who or what role.
Sure.
So I show up at the production office, and I'm looking at the cast list, and I'm looking, and I see Chris Makepeace, and I think to myself, well, that's got to be Daryl.
Right.
And Megan Fallows, and I'm thinking, well, that's got to be Judith. And then I look, and there's a R. Duval. And I went, no, couldn't be.
No way.
No way. So anyway, almost immediately, I'm called upstairs into the producer's office with his assistant, and we're talking about the movie. And by the way, I had held out for a long time, and they thought I wanted money.
To consult?
Yeah, they thought I wanted money, when in fact all I wanted to do was read the script and make sure the story was real and truthful.
Sure. And they obviously consulted the family and everything that went with it.
So anyway, I go up and I meet with him, and the producer says, "Do you know who's playing you?" And I went, "No, I haven't a clue." And he went, "It's, well, he's going to be here in a minute." So I'm sitting there, and the door opens, and in walks Robert Duvall, and inside my head the voice says, "Holy shit, it's Robert Duvall."
Right.
Well, he comes
it's the consigliere, you know?
Yeah, and introduced, and we sit there for maybe 20 minutes, and then we go out for dinner.
Yeah.
The 4 of us, and then we come back to the office, and then Duvall says, "I want to spend a half an hour with Bill." So he and I just sat there, and I guess he wanted to learn about me.
Yeah.
And then we talked for a while, and at the end he said, "Is there anything you want to say?" And I said, "I'm not a used car salesman, and I loved him."
Yeah.
And he went, "What?" And I said, "I'm not a used car salesman, and I loved him." "I got it," is what he said. So
He played it.
I was not a flim-flam man. The guy I did work at the Carney when I was in high school, but I couldn't. All I wanted to go is him to know that I did the best I could for him.
And kudos to Robert to take that role. I mean, obviously actors get offered lots of roles, but this is like a Canadian kid running across the country. You're played by an American actor. Like, you know, this would be something normally produced by the CBC or something, you know, and it's like, hey, we're gonna get Bruno Garussi to play Bill.
Yeah. I actually go downstairs after that meeting, go to my cell phone, which is the payphone out in front, call my wife and go, "You're never going to believe who's playing me in the movie." And she said, "Who?" And I said, "Robert Duvall." And she said, "Who's that?" And I said, "The Godfather." She said, "The blonde guy." And I went, No, that's James Caan." "Well, maybe if I see his picture, I'll know who you're talking about."
Right.
Which was helpful because suddenly my head went from here down to here.
Sure.
And over the years, it was surreal.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. Now, 40 years later, I think I don't know if this sounds weird, but I think it's funny that Robert Duvall played me in a movie.
Yeah.
There was another movie, second movie by CTV that had Sean Ashmore that played Terry.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I forget the actor's name, but he did actually a better job. The first movie
Of playing you.
yeah.
Right.
The first movie cast Terry too much as this angry young man, which he was not in any way, shape, or form. The second movie, I think, told the story better about who Terry was. And there's been a number of documentaries. And if your listeners want to know about Terry, the very first one, which was called I Had a Dream, which was the very first documentary, and all the other documentaries most of the footage that you see of Terry was from that original one. But the best documentary that told the story about Terry was Steve Nash's Into the Wind.
Yeah, and we'll make sure we get a link for that up on everything
It was on
to check it out.
It was 2020, one of that series.
And the family was happy with both movies, yeah?
They weren't happy with the first one.
They weren't happy with
They
the
weren't
first
happy with the first one. They were very happy with the second one.
Excellent.
But again, the best way to look at them is the documentaries. Of course, the documentaries don't show you. Both the movies show that blow up that I had with Terry,
Right.
But neither of them show it actually how it actually was. The very first one has Duvall sitting on a closed toilet seat while Terry's in the bathtub.
Gotcha.
And we're having a very calm conversation.
Right.
When in fact, it was a very emotional conversation that ended up, and it was like, in the movie it goes, okay, Bill, okay, Terry. In the real life, it was two guys holding on to each other sobbing.
Yeah. Well, Hollywood comes to the mix. So, well, that's a great time, though. I mean, it's something that no one, Robert Duvall played you in a movie. So
it was, and
Howdy Doody would play me in a movie. So,
I've always said it quite seriously. There should have been Dom DeLuise if they really wanted to have a guy play Bill Vigars. And Peter DeLuise, who's a good friend of mine, he's a director. I've told him that because I started working with him on Stargate. First thing I said is, your dad should have been me in the movie.
Thanks for stopping by, friends, to the Brenton on Tour podcast channel on YouTube. Coffee, music, travel, life, all of those things. One page, lots of guests, lots of chatter. We talk about all of it. If you like it, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. Thanks, friends. See you next time.